So, just a quick little notice here. As far as getting outside of the prison in Jericho. So, a little bit of the story has been revealed so far. Pretty goddamn sure I seen Warren right here as the mysterious stranger. So, I'm interested to see where that bit of the storyline evolves to. So technically, at the beginning of the game, it's taking place right at the ending of the first game. And then your plane crashes, and about 2 months later, you wake up and you find out a little bit more information here and there as to why it is you're being detained, even though you were involved in a wreck, or a plane crash rather. So, to start a recap on the first game, The Surge, and as far as the story, where we're at now, I don't know if they give an exact timeline for how long the game itself takes place. You can probably say within the events of a couple of days. So, roughly about 2 months ago, Warren had signed up to be part of Trio. And as you find out at the beginning of the game, he's actually bound to a wheelchair, so, he had his own motivations for getting to Creo as far as being able to get one of these mech rig suits and be mobile again. Now, as his procedure's about to start, or give or take a little bit, I think it seems that it was quite intentional that he didn't have any aesthetic. Perhaps the name for that AI at the end. Yeah, I was just thinking about it. Anyway, it seems more intentional by the system to not have given any, anesthetic or medication to the rogue AI. But nonetheless, gets the procedure, passes out from all the, pain, and then wakes up. There's been a system blackout that was caused by the rogue AI that basically shorted out a lot of the neural chips in a lot of people's rig suits. And it either did one of two things. It either basically kind of killed them and almost like internally spontaneously combust them, or it drove them pretty much mad and they would attack anybody on sight. And then there's a few people in between that weren't affected for one reason or another, such as Warren, the player character. So from there, Warren's main objectives are given into him via what would you say, a hologram communication by a female scientist. I don't remember her name right now. Which, in the end, it's not consequential because she ends up being just an AI protocol that was trying to get you through the whole game as it was. At some point, I'd like a more detailed story as far as some of the side quests and more of the people that you meet that are, alive and not necessarily entirely sane, but not rabid and barrels that attack you on sight. And the optional choices you have there, I wonder how that affects everything canonically. But Warren, through everything that he's doing, his main objective is to get to more or less to the corporate figurehead. As you get through the game, you find out that the rogue AI, some people say that the rogue AI killed the majority of the corporate heads so that it could get the vote, and left one actually living member alive, as per certain bylaws or something that it had to adhere to. It seems more like that the rogue AI or rogue process actually assimilated most of the board members, because when you're having the final boss battle with the rogue AI, it'll at one point, I think in the beginning or at the end, we'll have dialogue where it speaks as different members, which kind of gives the insinuation, seems to me, that it assimilated them in some sense, probably either by force or by by their own will. I guess I don't know entirely. There's not much that would lean either way on that, unless there's optional lore that I missed out on in regards to that. But as it was, throughout that, the first project that Warren knew about that kind of rose some suspicion to Creo overall was Project Resolve. The idea behind what it was doing is it was supposed to be launching, was it missiles? I don't know. They some refer to them as satellites, and I just don't. I don't. From all the imagery you see, it doesn't appear to be satellites unless they mean that in a different term than I understand it. But they are shooting out missiles which have payloads within them that are supposed to disperse into the atmosphere and help heal the ozone layer, whereas later you come to find it seems to be that they're actually, for some odd reason, destroying the ozone and the world and depleting it of the nutrients it needs. So that's something that seems kind of odd until you start to realize more that it's actually something that's being controlled by the rogue process, and it seems like, at least from there, why I infer that the rogue process has been in control for a lot longer than it would appear to seem. Slowly destroying the earth, taking out the things that we need as humans before it's going into its next phase, which was what's the name of the second project? I want to say Project Purity, but that's Fallout. What did it became after Project Resolve? Project Utopia. Damn, how could I forget that? Anyway, Project Utopia was something that we know for a fact was directly spearheaded by the Rogue process. And the whole point of Project Utopia was to then at that point disperse nanites or nanobots that would infect the populace. And I don't know what the bit control there would have, whether each, kind of like in Mass Effect, where each individual human becomes its own husk, or if it would amass a certain amount of bioorganic material, and then form entities from there. As you can see, there's throughout the Surge 2, especially, you'll see different sizes of them. Because we do know that at one point you find out that the Rogue process itself, it requires to consume organic matter, in a sense, to sustain itself. So that's got to be some wonder there as far as, here in the Surge 2, as they go forward with their plans, what extent are they going to keep humans around, almost keep them around like cattle in daylight, or was it daybreakers that the vampires had to do? Alright, so as you're making your way through the compound, so you find all out of that. Now, at one point, you do have the option to upload a virus. And I loosely, this is where I want to look more into it. You have one of two side options, and it's either to upload something that makes them rampant, or upload something that stops them from being rampant. And basically from there, it gives them more of a set of sentience as they become new entities and develop. Or you can make it to where they're totally just rampant, and I guess from there that comes down to the moral choices. It would seem like making them rampant to where they're not sentient and they don't kind of ascend past us, and in a sense of being civilized, would be the good option. But I kind of see that more as the bad option. That's just, humans seem very stubborn in the idea of something might evolve that's better than us, from us. And that's where I kind of wonder where the plot kind of leans into, because there's definitely audio recording, so Warren definitely for sure at some point was picked up. I don't know if he was picked up, in Jericho City, or picked up from the Creo Foundation when the government went in there. That hasn't, became clear as far as where I'm at in the storyline yet. But Warren is definitely alive to some extent, and As I said, you know, I think he's the mysterious traveler or the mysterious stranger that you meet early on at one point. You have to wonder, as I said, canonically, did you know, Warren infect them to where they or they become rampant, or did he, you know, take the option to make it to where they can actually become sentient and possibly be civilized? I didn't see any options to carry any data over as far as from different gameplay, because I have beaten the Surge before. I don't know if the save file was still there and if that would affect, you know, outcomes in the background. I kind of wondered. Ooh, shit, these guys are so blocked. Get out of here. Oh, that. Goddamn, proper fuck there. At this point, it doesn't seem like Warren's leading any sort of resistance. There is some brother Eli guy that you gotta go meet. And, you know, kind of start helping you out on the quest as far as pointing you in the next direction that you gotta go. I won't say I will, like, I'm trying to get better at it, but this blocking system, once you kind of understand and you learn your enemy's patterns, really good. Because if you get the timing down, you get a nice little parry. I will say they definitely kept a lot of the good as far as the interface, drone. Definitely appreciate still having that guy. And then the ejection. They play a little bit different of a role as far as how many charges they have. You do have to fight more to actually charge up your energy, and then you can, if you already have full health, then you can store it in at that point. Targeting system was still good. I know a lot of people said that it was buggy and that they had a hard time hitting their targets, but that the game actually acknowledges that, you know, you always don't always have a clear line of sight to the target that you want to hit. That's why positioning is what kind of attack, vertical or horizontal you use, does make a difference. One thing I still can't, you know, it's a slowly approach enemies from behind and then press R1 to perform a backstab. And I just can't seem to quite get that enough. Like, you know, okay, I'm here. See, nothing. Like, that's got him. Dodge mechanic's pretty good. It takes a minute to get used to it. No sort of like roll, Zelda or anything, or Link or anything here. Definitely still sticks to my original opinion of this game. I have with the third one. It is very much tech soul. I don't necessarily believe that to be a bad thing. I know that kind of setting into it, they kind of had this idea with, what was it, Lord of the Fallen, that they could, you know, kind of stand toe-to-toe with Dark Souls, but that's just, I don't know. I think if they had the studio with the artistic, you know, power, the development team and everything like that, this game could be a lot more refined and polished, but, you know, they do very good in their own right, but I don't know. Kind of hard to strive to get a game like Dark Souls. And more or less started this torture porn of gaming genre that people love. Kind of punishment this game puts you through, even when you're on a roll. It just, god damn. Not for the average gamer, that's for sure. And much like before, I haven't seen anything in regards to an actual difficulty setting, just areas that seem to be leveled. So you do have to do a fair bit of, you know, grinding, making sure that you're paying attention to how to take off limbs regularly so you can upgrade your gear. As far as the lore went in the Surge, you learned that once you got the schematic, you were able to, you know, get all these weapons via a 3D printer. It does seem like they kind of just integrated that right through into the medbay deck, whereas before it was separate. So nothing necessarily wrong with that, but definitely got to get your gear upgraded. Huh. Interesting. Saw Harper enemies there last time. I like the nice touch that they brought with the original as far as going back for your souls or your tech scrap in this case. And then they add the extra element to where it's got a timer from the offset when you respawn back at the nearest med bay. And the only way to extend the time from there is to actually get more kills. That is a bit of risk-reward incentive. A nice way to, you know, pay homage to the original concept, but also craft it into something a little more of your own. There we go. Fucking direction. Love that directional block. If you time it right. Some stuff I still have to figure out. I mean, I don't want to call these an anomaly because it's definitely not. It's, they have a name for the plague itself. Some of the things you gotta look out for are, you know, they don't have illusionary walls, but they do have, as before, like little hidden nook and cranny paths. Sometimes you have to break something to actually know that it's there. They do got a quick swap system as far as your layout. I'm only rolling with one so far, but when you go into here, into your gear, you can preset it here. Loadout, bonus action this, and then up on the directional pad to swap through them. Now here, when you hold left on the D-pad, you can swap through your favorite weapons. These ones are for the drones. And what is it, I believe, hold right on the D-pad and you can bring up your favorite injections list, but I usually only run the health injections, and then from there just different boosters.
That was probably infected.